been a good month now since the Silent Hill DLC, and with the map being out for this long, I want to finally bring you guys my thoughts of the map. What I like, what I don't like, and what I think they need to improve with it. Because this map is, let's be honest, this map isn't very popular with a lot of people. And I kind of want to talk about why that is and what they can sort of do to fix this. Because it's a cool map, it's a cool design, it's a cool look, but I think in a lot of areas it's really sort of missed its mark. So, hi guys, it's Scorpionz, and let's get into this. Actually, before we begin, just like in the Pyramid Head video, I have hidden a DLC code to the brand new Silent Hill chapter. It's split into 3 parts again, and placed randomly in the video in the wrong order. So if you can find the 3 parts, put them in the right order, you will win yourself the DLC on Steam. Good luck. Before I talk about what I like and don't like, I kind of want to talk to you about how the map layout actually is. The map is the Midwich school from Silent Hill, and basically the map layout is a almost perfect square. The school itself has got 2 floors, and the only way upstairs is up one of the 4 staircases found in each corner of the map. One of the 4 of those staircases is shut when the game starts and can only be opened by the killer. To get downstairs, there are various drop-down points located around the map, but the only 4 ways up are in each corner of the map. On top of this, in 3 of the 4 corners, there is a perfectly safe god pallet, and in between those god pallets, down the corridors in the classrooms, are very unsafe pallets linking the god pallets together. Effectively, your goal as a survivor is to use the classroom pallets to link your way down the corridor to the god pallet at the end of the corridor, to then put a lot of distance between yourself and the killer. The map also has an outdoor courtyard with some various kind of half maze tile things in it, but the outdoor area is mostly a dead zone, and you only really need to go out there to trigger one of the Easter eggs at the end game collapse. Otherwise, going outside is usually a death sentence. So starting with what I like with the map, I'm going to first talk about this from the perspective of a pig player, which, as you know, she is a stealth killer, and therefore this map is one of the strongest maps in the game for her, purely because of the fact that I can get so close to you on a gen without you seeing or hearing me coming. And on top of that, my ambush dash is incredibly easy to hit on this map. Like, you can't dodge it pretty much if you're at a pallet loop, because the classrooms are very compact, obviously, because it's a classroom. There's the 4 walls, there's nowhere to run. So if I crouch at a pallet loop, there's nowhere really for you to run. I kind of just get a free hit a lot of the time on these pallet loops, so it means I can get a relatively free hit as my first hit on the gen, and then when you run away from the gen and arrive at a pallet loop, I can then get myself a pretty much free down as well, because there's nowhere for you to run. I can just catch you. Like, this is fun, but do I like this? I mean, sure, I guess that some maps are better for some killers than others, but it is a little bit insane how easy this map is for a stealth killer. I mean, that's just every indoor map, to be fair, but it follows the same trend of most of the other indoor maps, which is a relatively easy game for a stealth killer. I also had fun tracking people that I knew were downstairs because I could hear them, and I was tracking them walking directly above them as pig because they couldn't hear me because I was cloaked. And I find a drop down, and I drop down and I'm able to pull them off of a gen, or I drop down and I get the jump scare and a free hit on them as well. So there's really cool things like that you can do with this map. On top of that, if you remember correctly, a few months ago I made a video on breakable walls and what I think of them. This map also features breakable walls, and I'm pleased to say that, in my opinion, the breakable walls on this map are done a lot better than the breakable walls that are done on the saloon. It's not perfect, I'll admit, but the walls are in a much better state than they were. I love the secret areas you can open up by breaking down a wall, and you can kind of add an entire stairwell upstairs. That kind of thing is what I wanted to see with the walls, and seeing this in this map makes me really happy for the future, and I hope they keep doing stuff like this. Also, there are these 2 really strong windows on the map that originally I hated, but the way they work is one of the doorways is blocked by a wall, and the way it works is survivors basically get one really strong vault from that window per game, and then you break the doorway, and at that point the window becomes much less safe. So they get one safe vault, and then after that they're done. I wasn't a big fan of this at the beginning, but when I thought about it more, I was more convinced about this wall being there. It's not how I want them to be used as such, but it's also not terrible. It's not as bad as I originally thought it was. In the map's initial PTB, I was super against this wall, and I was super against this window in the first in general. But after seeing how the map plays out and seeing how the wall plays out, it's actually not that bad, because these walls are much easier to pre-break than the ones in Saloon. In Saloon, you feel like you have to go really out of your way to break the top floor walls in the main building, but you absolutely have to break them early, otherwise you get screwed over so hard on that map. But at the same time, you have to waste a minute or two breaking all these walls, and it's really, really frustrating for the killer. Whereas this map, yeah, you still have to break a lot of walls, but you can do them as you're checking stuff. They're less out of the way. They're more just right in front of you. So in that regard, a lot better. Also, I just want to say that the Easter eggs that this map has are incredibly good. I'm not really going to go into them in this video because that's not what it's about, but the Easter eggs are great, and I love to see this kind of thing in maps. I really hope we see this kind of thing in the future with a lot more maps, not just licensed, but original maps too, with proper Easter eggs like this. We've not really seen this sort of thing from Behaviour before, and I hope that they continue going down this route, because it's great. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of where the positives with this map end. The thing with this map is, unless you're playing a stealth killer, or maybe Pyramid Head, you're not really gonna enjoy it. Like, survivors don't particularly enjoy this map, and most killers don't particularly enjoy this map. And the reason for this is it kind of has the same problem as Hawkins. From a killer's point of view, getting from A to B is extremely difficult. You could hook somebody on the bottom floor, and somebody can be working on a gen directly above you, but you can't get to that gen without going all the way around to the corridor edge, up the staircase, and down to them. And it's frustrating to hear them working on this gen, and you're losing this gen progress, but getting to them is going to take such a long amount of time. The chases you get as killer are easy, but getting into them sucks on this map. Going from A to B can be quite frustrating, and the 3 pallets in the corner of the map that are supposed to be chase extenders or chase resetters that are just god pallets and unmineable just completely ruin the flow of chases on this map, and I really don't like them. I know that that's sort of what they're for, but it just feels like there could have been a better way to do the same thing. And on the survivors side, finding gens on this map is a nightmare. And on top of that, once you get into chases, all of the pallets, apart from those 3 that I just mentioned in the edge of the corridors, are crazy unsafe, especially considering that there's nothing around the pallets to run to. So you sort of just go down within a pallet or 2 of being found by the killer, and it sucks. It makes chases very stale. There's very little mind games on this map. It's just drop pallet, hold W until you get hit. It's very, very, very stagnant, and it's quite frustrating. Unsafe pallets like this work. While preschool isn't brilliant, either it has the advantage of the unsafe pallets work on that map because there's areas to run off to. It's not just find the pallet and you go down. There are areas you can stagnant off to. I know everyone abuses the main building on that map, but that's not the point. The unsafe pallets work on that map a lot better than they work on this map. The main problem with the unsafe pallets on this map, like I said, is that you can't run anywhere. But the second big problem is Bloodlust again. Bloodlust again makes this map a joke for a killer, because all you have to do is hold down W, the pallets are unsafe, you will get a hit, guaranteed. Bloodlust completely ruins this map, and it's a shame. And I really wish they would disable Bloodlust at this point, because it's well beyond being necessary anymore. It just isn't needed at all. So I really, Really hope it goes away at some point soon. But let's be honest, it's going nowhere, sadly. On top of all this, as a killer, the perk Object of Obsession can also create quite a lot of frustration simply because of how hard it is to get upstairs and downstairs. You see someone sitting there with Object, there's nothing you can do about it really, you just gotta sit there and let him do the gen, which is another nitpicky thing, but it's just adding to the frustration of the map. So, from the killer's point of view, getting from A to B sucks, and the 3 pallets in the corners end up just ruining the flow of the gameplay. And from the survivor's point of view, finding gens is difficult and sometimes tedious, and chases are frustrating because the pallets are all very safe and the killer just bloodlusts you on them for an easy down. But what can you actually do to help fix these problems? Well, for starters, I think the middle courtyard in this map is a massive missed opportunity. I think that actual consistent maze tiles could potentially spawn there. So if the middle bit had a TL wall or a jungle gym, it wouldn't fix the map's problems, but it would certainly aid in creating mind games and creating a few more engaging chases. On top of this, I feel like a couple of pallets could be a little bit safer or be a little bit better marked. Not all of them, obviously, the unsafe pallets do need to be there. It's just that they need to add something that will actually add some more mind games to this map so that the killer gameplay isn't simply just hold W to catch them. I don't like the 3 god pallets in the corners of the map. They do their job, which is to break up the chasing, but it really doesn't fit the map, and there's much better ways of doing this. So I really don't see why these pallets should be there, because they're just too far the other way on the spectrum. A lot of pallets in this map, are on the spectrum of too unsafe, but these ones are way too safe. A couple of the gens could be a little better marked as to where they actually are to give survivors a bit of extra aid in finding them so that it's not just aimlessly running around looking for them. Kind of like how Larry's has got signposts, etc. The problem with this map is that a lot of it just isn't fixable. The pallets are always gonna be this unsafe because there isn't that much space in the classrooms. Sure, you could make a few of them a little bit safer, but there just isn't that much space in the classrooms, and on top of this, you can't add more ways up and downstairs because by design, again, the only 4 ways up are in the corners. They already had to try and fix the endgame scenario because the gates don't move locations, again, because it's the Silent Hill map, and they were always opposite each other, so the killer could just stand in the middle of the map and guarantee that he catches you at the endgame. So they had to add line of sight blockers between the exit gates. The sad reality is that this, I think, is just a map that missed its mark in the end. I love that Behaviour are taking risks with these maps because that's what they need to do. Making the same map but with a different skin every single DLC would get stale. So I like that they keep taking these risks. It's just that sometimes these risks aren't going to work, and I think that unfortunately this is one of those occasions. I think you can make some changes that would aid the map and make it better, but it's like this by design, and I just don't think it works. I was hoping they'd learn a little bit from Hawkins, and while they have, I don't feel like we're there just quite yet. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of the map as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new here. And if you are new here, I stream on Twitch every single day, so be sure to check me out there as well. Anyway guys, I'll be off. Take care.